it's Nicole from Nicole Loves. Welcome to the channel. So today's video, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, is for OPI's Spring 2024 collection. What's it called? Okay, sorry. So today's video is for the OPI Your Way collection. This is their Spring 2024 release. Not that I've been reviewing OPI for a particularly long time, but I was aghast and shocked, not happy, a lot of negatives when I saw that there were 21 polishes total for this release.
Why?
So we have 12 polishes total for the main collection in the normal nail polish line, and then in OPI's Infinite Shine line, which is their gel-like line, there are 9 polishes in that release, bringing us to a total of 21 polishes. And yeah, there's gonna be a couple ads in this video because I need to make my money back because this was damn expensive. My understanding of this collection is all the polishes are meant to be basically layered on top of each other. So we have a variety of creams, shimmers, glitters, and I think all of the sheer polishes are supposed to layer over some of the more opaque polishes and just kind of do a whole mix and match kind of thing. Because there are 21 polishes total, I will not be doing all of the layering for this video. If you want to do layering, we can maybe do a live stream for it. For this video, I will be swatching everything in however many coats it takes to apply them. And yeah, we'll just see how everything applies, see how everything looks. So before we get into this video, I got a couple of things to mention. And the first being, if you are new around here, hi, my name is Nicole. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you very much for clicking on today's video. I upload new videos every week on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So, you know, hit subscribe if you want to join in on the fun. And of course, I also go live on Sundays. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. How are you doing? Please say a prayer for my hands after this. This is gonna be a lot of swatching. So I purchased all the products featured in today's video. I purchased these from polishpick.com. I'll have links in the description box to all the places where this collection is available, and some of those links will be affiliate links, just so you're aware. As always, down in the description box, links to where you can pick these polishes up, links to the OPI website and social media pages, my social media pages, as well as a link to my blog post on NicoleLovesNails.com, where I host all my swatch photos, as well as provide a written review. And most importantly, timestamps are down there as well. Let's get into this video. First up, we have Without a Pout. I will describe this one as a hot pink cream. Without a Pout had a pretty good formula. It did seem to self-level a lot slower than I would have liked. It did self-level. I did find though that because it self-levels a little bit slower, I tried to kind of fix the polish as I was applying it, which ended up causing me to overwork the polish and cause some uneven spots. So for my full-length swatches, I did end up needing 3 coats to reach full even opacity. So application kind of left a couple of things to be desired for this one, but I do think it's a very pretty looking color. I will call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on your own personal application. This does seem to be bright enough that I feel like I can call it a pank instead of just a pink, but it's by no means like a neon pink. It's just very, very bright. So that is Without a Pout in 3 coats plus glossy top coat, easy removal, no issues with staining. Next up, we have glitter with an emphasis on the lit in glitter. The official description from OPI says, top off any look with this lit apricot sheer. I read that as this can be, you know, built up in 3 coats, or you can use it as a topper. So I'll be showing this one built up in 3 coats for my live swatch, but like, it's sheer. You could use it as a topper too. Just a heads up, I have the official OPI descriptions, and some of them say the sheers are in fact toppers, but some of them just say they're sheers. So anything that just says sheer and not topper, I'm gonna build them up. For the ones that say topper, I'm going to use them as a topper. Glitter had a fantastic formula. Again, this is a very sheer polish, so I did have visible nailing with it after 3 coats. I love this like tangy, orangey kind of color. This reminded me a little bit of like a more orange version to China Glaze's Papa Don't Peach. That one leans a little bit more reddish. I'm honestly not terribly great at picking out the differences between just like a straight shimmer versus a glass fleck. This is reminding me a little bit of a glass fleck. I don't think it is though. Like, I think the particles are a little bit too small to be a glass fleck. The shimmer in this one does have a very pretty sparkly effect to it. You do not get any texture like you would from a glitter though. So again, I chose to build this one up in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. Removal is going to be very easy, but also fairly messy. You'll get like shimmery particles all over your fingers, especially if you scrub this one off. Next up, we have Apricot AF. I have to read the official OPI description to you all because this one had me cackling. The yassification of apricot. This creamy finish is bright AF. Whoever is in charge of naming OPI polishes, I would love to have a conversation with them on how they come about naming these, because some of them, it's just...
How do you do, fellow kids?
What? It made me laugh, so I'll give them that. I'll give them that. What I do love about this one, I love the brightness. I love the peachy, almost neon-y-ness of this color. I thought it looks absolutely beautiful. However, I did not like the formula. I did not like it one bit. It was kind of chalky. I needed 3 coats to reach like full even opacity. It was very streaky and uneven in 2 coats, which is really a bummer because like I love this color on me. I just don't know if I can say with certainty that I would reach for it again just because like I didn't love the formula. And I know I have colors that are kind of similar to this that I can get opaque in 2 coats. I do wonder if this has a little bit of neon in it. I had a really hard time getting color accuracy for this one. I had to do quite a bit of color correcting for this one. I found like straight out of the camera, it photographed more of like a neon pastel orange and it kind of lacked like the peachy apricot-y pinkiness that it also has in it. And now we have Buttafly, which OPI describes as a soft yellow shimmer that'll make your heart flutter. Buttafly had about as good of a formula as I was expecting. I always have incredibly low expectations for pastel yellow creams. I just don't ever want to get my hopes up too high because I'm more times than not kind of disappointed. This one on that first coat, very streaky. Second coat, also very streaky. Third coat, still streaky, unfortunately. The saving grace for this one in my eyes is that this one also has like a very delicate faint shimmer to it. I honestly wish the shimmer was a little bit stronger because if it was a little bit stronger, I probably wouldn't have been so irritated that my polish looks so damn streaky and patchy on my nails. But unfortunately, the shimmer in here is one of those that I like to call blink and you miss it shimmers. I did my best to float my coats on when I was doing my full-hand swatches, and even with floating and very careful application, I just could not get this even. I would say that the best way to apply this one is in as few brush strokes as humanly possible. That is Buttafly in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. And next up we have Self-Made, and the S in Self-Made is a $ in case you missed it on the screen. OPI describes this one as today's forecast, a 100% chance of showers thanks to this green cream. And the S in showers is also spelled with a $. I feel like there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm just gonna skip it and keep moving forward. So since OPI did not say what type of green this is a very pale light green. I feel like it has like a little droplet of gray to it, so it's not what I think of when I think of like a typical pastel green, and I don't think it's quite bright enough to be a mint green either. Formula wise, this was so-so. Part of me wants to give it like a little bit of a pass since it's such a pale color, but I feel like the streakiness and unevenness, I just wasn't really a fan of this one. I did like it a lot more than I was expecting to like it. I think that little droplet of gray that I mentioned, I think that's what got me to like this one a little bit more. But sealed the deal for me is I really did not like feeling like I was forced to do the 3 brushstroke method at applying the polish, or else I would just cause bald spots. I didn't like that. I will call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on application style though. Like I do think it's within the realm of possibility of getting this one opaque in 2 coats. I just personally was not able to do it. And now we have Verified, which OPI describes as a bright blue cream that's verifiably iconic. After the last couple of pastel creams, I went into swatching Verified with like very low expectations. I was so shocked that this formula was actually pretty damn good. Like I would dare say this was one of the better pastel blue creams that I've personally tried. The first coat, it was a little bit uneven. The polish itself felt like slightly chalky, but what I usually expect from a pastel. And then on the second coat, I was able to reach full opacity. Like it looked fantastic in only 2 coats. I was really happy with this one. I could see people with longer nails than me, or if you really overwork this one, to might need a 3rd coat, because I don't want to call that completely out of the realm of possibility because it is a pastel. But yeah, I was really happy with Verified. And now we have Suga Cookie, which OPI describes as like frosting, sweeten up any shade with a sheer layer of purple glitter. For whatever reason, there are several polishes in this release that what OPI calls glitter, it's not glitter. There is no glitter. It is a shimmer. It is a sparkly shimmer, but it is not like chunky flecks of glitter. Disappointed! Once I got onto the first coat, I knew immediately that this was not going to be the polish for me. The polish itself felt a little bit thicker than I was expecting. Like if it had actual glitter in it, I would be like, okay, cool, glitter thick, but it was shimmer thick. And I don't know why, but shimmer thick hits differently than glitter thick, and it doesn't hit well for me personally. I think this would be a lot better used as a topper. I really didn't like how even though I had built it up, it didn't look the same purple as it does in the bottle. I really did not like how this looked in 3 coats. So for my full-hand swatches here, you're seeing it in 2 coats on all of my nails except for my ring finger. On my ring finger, that is 1 coat over Sweet and Sour Lacquer's Purple Blur Sauce. This has a very metallic-y look to it. Like, I almost wanted to call it a pearl, but it doesn't have that smooth shimmer that I think of with pearls. Like, it's definitely like shimmery. It's not glittery, but it's shimmery. Removal for this one is not going to be at all difficult. It will be a little bit messy. Next up we have Spice Up Your Life, which OPI describes as add a little spice with this rich caramel cream. I know this was not in fact inspired by the Spice Girls, but I will pretend that it was because this shade of brown is just making me think of all of the leopard print that Scary Spice wore. Spice Up Your Life is one of the polishes that I was most looking forward to when I saw the initial promotional photos for this release. I don't feel like we generally see brown creams released during spring releases from the mainstream brand, so like I was excited, okay? Spice Up Your Life had a fantastic formula. This is the kind of formulation that I come to expect from an OPI cream. It self-leveled perfectly, applied perfectly. It was damn near a one coater. I used 2 coats to reach full opacity though. I will make a note though, if you have a warmer skin tone like I do think depending on your lighting that this one could look more of like a burnt orange instead of like a camel brown. I would not describe this one as being a caramel brown at all. Like, it reminds me of those like camel colored coats that we see a lot of in the fall. That's the color this reminds me of, but just like a little bit more orange. And next up we have Material Gworl, which OPI describes as a dark brown cream that's nothing but fabulous. This was the other polish in this release that I was really looking forward to. Again, I love me a brown cream. Like, I never realized how much I love them until recently. This is another one of the polishes in this release that the name just feels very...
How do you do, fellow kids?
What? All that aside, this had a fantastic formula. It applied perfectly, self-leveled perfectly, had really great coverage on that first coat, but it wasn't quite there being a one coater. Much like the last brown, I do think this is a fairly warm toned brown, especially on me who has very warm undertones, especially in my hands. Somebody wanted to call this a burnt orange. I could even buy that. Like, it's a very warm orangey brown. So that is in 2 coats plus glossy top coat, easy removal, and I had no issues with staining. When I initially got the bottles in the mail, I thought it was very weird that we had Material Girl and Spice Up Your Life in the same collection. Looking at them side by side now, like, I don't think they're so similar that I can't see why they're in the same release, but we'll have a couple of things coming up that like very questionable to be released together at the same time. And now we have Glazed N Amused, which OPI describes as a glaze for days with a pearl sheer that can be layered over any color. Somebody out there was watching this review and being like, where's the pearl? OPI always has a pearl. Here's your damn pearl. I don't know what's going on with the live swatch portion right here. I think I had a brain fart or something. Like, I had some issues. Like, I changed how I do my live swatches and I'm still trying to get used to them. Anywho, I will say my experience doing the live swatch and my experience doing my full-on swatches were 2 very different experiences. I've had a hard time when I was doing the live swatch. Like, the polish was like thick and I just had a really hard time applying it. I did not have that experience at all when I was doing my full hand swatches. Like, in my notes, I wrote down that it runs down the stem of the brush. So I do think I might have left my bottle open in between the time when I was doing my full hand swatches and doing the live swatches. So straight out the bottle, this had a pretty good formula, but I'm gonna have to add thinner to mine now. The shimmer in here does show brush strokes and it does have that kind of pearly vibe to it. However, the shimmer is so freaking glowy that I actually really like this one. I was shocked. The shimmer also has a very subtle like peachy pinky to a orangey golden kind of color shift. Since this polish is on the sheerer side, if you have any kind of imperfections, nail line, anything like that on your nail, you will be able to see that through 3 coats. I think if I reach for this one again, I might play around with one of those visible nailing blurring bases that I used earlier. Like, I have a white one that I think I might try out for this. That is Glazed N Amused in 3 coats plus glossy top coat, super easy removal, no issues with staining. And now we have Glitterally Shimmer, which OPI describes as a sparkly yellow sheer topper that's glitterally everything. Glitterally Shimmer is the only polish in the main collection that actually has glitter in it. Like, I'm just as disappointed by that as you are, honestly. I'm showing it here in the live swatch over Cirque Colors Mahogany Jelly. In case you couldn't tell by my choices for toppers, I've been trying to play around with some polishes as bases that I've never used before, so that's why I went with the jelly for this one. This is a really beautiful topper. It has like a yellowy gold / iridescent kind of look to it, and I think you can pair this one over pretty much any base color that you want. I got kind of curious at how this would look as a jelly sandwich, so that's what we just did here. For my full hand swatch, I showed this in 1 coat over. Sorry I keep forcing that soundbite onto you all, by the way. Like, I've had that stupid clip stuck in my head since I swatched these, and like, if I have to have it stuck in my head, so do you. Sorry. This is a fairly densely packed topper, so I wouldn't suggest putting this over like nail art, but any base color you want, this should go over really nicely. I was kind of curious at how this would look with a matte top coat, so I had to mattify it. I freaking love this matte, like it looks so damn pretty. This surprisingly does not dry down like insanely textured, but I still would suggest wearing top coat on top of it to smooth everything out. Everything in here is going to make removal kind of suck, so I would recommend the soak off method or a peel off base coat. And now we have Snatch'd Silver, which OPI describes as a silver sheer glitter that'll snatch any color you layer it on. Okay, apparently I lied. There was one more glitter in this release. Where Glitterally Shimmer was more like yellowy goldy green, this one is more like pinky bluish purple iridescent. I honestly thought this looked really bad on its own. Like I tried to layer it on its own from my full hand swatches and I just did not like it. So for the live swatch, I'm just gonna focus on treating it as a topper. This one also had a slightly thicker formula. However, since there are glitters involved, I kind of gave it a pass on thickness. I still found it applied very evenly and easily. I tried building this up on its own in 3 coats for my full hand swatches, and I don't like it. I don't have a good reason at why I don't like it. I disliked it enough that I decided for my ring and pinky fingers to pair it with one of my favorite polishes to hopefully like it a little bit more. So that blue is Night Owl Lacquer's Feeling Naughty. I'm still not a fan, and I still don't have a solid reason at why I don't like it, because I know I have iridescent toppers that have like larger size glitters than this, and I absolutely love those, but I just wasn't a fan of this one, and I don't have a good reason why. I think the polish itself is perfectly fine though. The glitters in here dry down, slightly textured. 1 coat of top coat will smooth everything out really nicely. I would recommend either the soak off method or peel off base coat, because the glitters will just gonna make a gigantic mess if you scrub this one off. And now for the Infinite Shine exclusives, we have Bubblegum Glaze, which OPI describes as a shimmery bubblegum pink glaze that will pop off on top of any shade. Bubblegum Glaze had a pretty good formula. This has that issue that a lot of pale pinks have where it's kind of difficult to get them to apply evenly. For my full hand swatches, I floated my coats on and I could not get this one to have like a true even base at all. I really like the level of opacity in 2 coats, but just the sheer amount of dark spots and unevenness just drove me absolutely batty. So my full hand swatches do show this one in 3 coats. I do think in 3 coats that it looks a lot more even, but in person close up, I could still see some unevenness on my nails. I honestly question how well this would layer on top of anything just because it's not even at all. This does have a fairly pearlized finish, so you do get some brush strokes through the shimmer. I don't think they're the worst that I've ever seen though. So that is Bubblegum Glaze in 3 coats plus glossy top coat, super easy removal, and I had no issues with staining. Next up we have On Another Level, which OPI describes as a seriously shiny electric pink cream that's giving main character energy. On Another Level had an okay formula. Much like the other pink in this release, for whatever reason, it self-levels really slowly. I honestly expected a much better formula out of a pink. Like I feel like OPI has been making pink creams for so long that I kind of always assume that they're all going to be like knocked out of the park amazing. Kind of could see on that last coat that I kind of did overwork the polish. I'm going to say for this one, to get the best application, i.e. only doing 2 coats, you're going to want to go in for as few brush strokes as humanly possible. This one does have that tendency to drag your coats if you keep overworking it just because it self-levels so slowly. I think this is a really pretty color, and I do actually like how this looks on me a lot. I just feel like 2 vibrant pinks in one release is like 1 pink too many in my opinion. I photo show On Another Level in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. I had a couple of nails that still had dark spots on them in 3 coats, so again, careful application to get this one opaque in 2. This polish has a very slight corally, orangey kind of undertone to it, so here is a comparison to the other pink in this release to see what I mean. Like, potentially, if you don't have as warm of an undertone as I do, that it might not come across as corally. You know, color theory is a thing. And now we have 24 carats, which OPI describes as make nails drip in a seriously shiny, bright orange cream. I had much higher hopes for this one than I probably should have. 24 carats had felt very chalky and self-leveled very slowly. Like, it did self-level, but much like some of the other polishes in this release, because it self-leveled so slowly, trying to fix your coat just does not work well with this polish at all, which is really a bummer because I feel like this would have been such a cute color for a pedicure. I wouldn't go so far to say that I think this is a bad polish. Like, I think as long as you use top coat, like, it looks perfectly fine. That is assuming you don't overwork your final coat, because then you will definitely have some dark spots in the finish look. All that said, I do think I'll still call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on your application style. Initially, this was one of of the colors I was kind of like, why did we have two of these in this release? Like, I thought they were going to look a lot more similar. You can see here side by side that the two colors do have different looks to them. One is more like apricot peachy, the other one is more like orange tangy. And now we have Gettin' Lime, which OPI describes as a cyber lime cream everyone will shine up to see. Gettin' Lime had a pretty great formula. I always find it so interesting that the colors that I see nail polish brands call lime and the color of lime in my mind are two very different things. I would say this is more of a chartreuse than anything. And as someone who absolutely loves the color chartreuse, I love this color so much. This is a very bright and vibrant shade. I totally would have bought this being a summer color, honestly. The formula itself was okay, about what I expected. Like, this has a lot of yellow in it, so I did expect some streakiness. It self-leveled a little bit slower than I would have liked, but it did self-level. I will call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on application. All of my nails except for one were perfectly fine in 2 coats, so I just ended up doing 3 coats to make sure everything looked nice and even. I generally find colors like this are major stainers for my natural nails. I did not personally experience any staining when I was doing my swatches, but you know, wear base coat, people. Double up if your nails are prone to staining. And now we have First Class Tix, which OPI describes as a turquoise cream that's your first class ticket to shine. And that is shine with a lot of extra eyes. It's such a bright and pretty color. The formula itself though was on the thicker side. Like, it felt almost like stamping polish thick. It did self-level a little bit slowly again, but it did self-level. Thickness definitely made this one very opaque though. Like, it was just shy of being a 1 coater for me. I think if I went in for one thicker coat, I could really get this one opaque on me in 1 coat. I had originally thought this was going to be a dupe for China Glazes for Audrey. It's a little bit too bright and a little bit more blue toned than for Audrey. I will admit though, it does have a very similar Tiffany blue kind of feel to it though. And that is First Class Tix in 2 coats plus glossy top coat, super easy removal, no issues with staining. And now we have Bleached Brows, which OPI describes as Y2K called and said the shiny beige cream is back. Off topic time. I've never been much of a makeup person. I've never really been that much into fashion either. However, I was a teenager when Y2K happened, and I could have sworn I remember seeing in like fashion magazines that they were still trying to convince us to just like pluck our eyebrows out to, you know, smithereens. Yeah, I feel like Bleached Brows was like 10 years ago and not 20. I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Bleached Brows had a really nice formula. I was so shocked at how much I like this polish because this is not at all a very Nicole shade at all. The formula also was absolutely fantastic. 2 coats and I got super even, great coverage. I think the color of this could potentially be some people's like color for like mannequin hand manis, if you know what I mean. Obviously not my hands, but I think for somebody out there, it could potentially be their skin tone. And now we have Basic Baddie, which OPI describes as a basic that's anything but basic. This creamy tan has extreme shine. Basic Baddie also had a fantastic formula. This is yet another color that I would never, ever, 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 ever pick this color out for myself to wear. But I finished the day swatching with this color and I freaking loved how this looked on my nails. It gave me something that I didn't know it was going to give me. I know OPI is not generally the brand to have like swear words in their polish names, but I would have cackled so hard if this was just called Basic Bitch instead of Basic Baddie. I feel like this is such a basic bitch color, and like I mean that in the nicest way possible because like I ended up really loving how this one looked on me. But yeah, if I had released this, it would have been Basic Bitch, and I feel like maybe that's why I don't have a nail polish brand. My photos show Basic Baddie in 2 coats plus glossy top coat, and this had a super great formula, applied perfectly, self-leveled perfectly, everything about this was fantastic. And now we have Glitter Mogul, which OPI describes as a glittery sheer topper that'll make you an instant success. And that is success spelled with a $sign. Glitter Mogul had a fantastic formula. I don't really believe that these are glitters in this polish. Like, this applies more like a larger particle shimmer. Like, I don't buy that this is actually glitter. However, I also recognize that I might be slightly biased because I love glitter and this did not give me enough like bing bang boom glitter vibes. I do, however, think this is a very pretty topper and you can definitely wear this over pretty much any color that you want. My full hand swatches show this one in 1 coat over without a pout. This has a very iridescent like vibe to it. I found overall the color you're largely seeing is like a yellow to a gold. Similar to the other toppers in this release, it just
supposed to give, but it did not give what needed to be gave.
It didn't excite me very much. But it wasn't a bad topper by any means. It just, you know, it wasn't for me. Nothing in here is going to dry down like really textured. You'll still want top coat to smooth everything out and to give you a nice glossy shine. Removal will be fairly messy, but not overly difficult. Last and certainly not least, we have Pearlcore, which OPI describes as the world is your oyster when you layer this shiny pearl sheer over color. This is the OPI pearl that we see in damn near every collection. Formula-wise, it was pretty good. It didn't feel overly thick or thin. I had no real application issues with it. This is another fairly sheer polish, so you're either going to build it up in 2 to 3 coats, I would say. You could potentially use this one as a topper as well. Like, it's kind of even enough to be used as a topper. For my full-in swatches, I swatched this one in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. I'm kind of finding in general nowadays, I prefer these kind of pearly polishes in 2 coats over 3, and I'll only do 3 coats if it's like super uneven. This polish does have a blue to purple color shift to it. I found it more noticeable in low light situations, which what you are seeing here, my little cave-like nail room. I do really like that this has some color shifty moments to it, but because it is a pearl, you do get a little bit of brush strokes through the shimmer. So that is Pearlcore in 2 coats plus glossy top coat, easy removal, and I had no issues with staining.
Stormy, say hi.
Alrighty, so final thoughts. Ha! No, not final thoughts, because I have not finished swatching these yet. So editing Nicole's gonna pop in to give you all a rundown on all of her thoughts and feelings. Also, sorry, editing Nicole has to pop in. Basically, I am gonna be pushing really, really hard to get these all swatched over the next couple of days to post this on Tuesday.
Wrong.
And I will not have time on Tuesday to record an intro and outro, so that's why we have editing Nicole. Okay, now editing Nicole can pop in now. Editing Nicole here, so final thoughts time. Overall, I don't think this was necessarily a bad release. I just feel like it was a lot of release. It was just such a big release. Looking at the color story, I do think the color story looks fantastic. Like, I think all the colors just look really pretty together. I especially like that we have a rainbow. You all know how much I love when I get like a rainbow release. While I do totally understand that OPI largely knows that the average consumer is not in fact going to be releasing 21 shades, I understand that. I kind of feel like they probably thought that maybe they were giving like people even more options to do mix and matching. I honestly wish that there were a little bit more toppers in this release and less sheers. Like, I feel like at the end of it, a lot of the sheers on the nail are gonna look pretty similar though, so I don't feel like this really was like a true mix and match kind of thing. Not really. Especially like the pearlescence. Like, I feel like the pearlescence themselves, I think on the nail, they're not gonna look that drastically different. I was really surprised at how much I liked basic, I almost said basic bitch, how much I like basic Baddie and bleached eyebrows. I was very shocked at how much I really enjoyed those 2 colors. However, I think at the end of all of this, my top picks are gonna be Spice Up Your Life, Glitterally Shimmer, Without a Pout, and First Class Tix. There were definitely a couple of polishes in this release that like I loved. Again, I just kind of wish that we had more toppers. I feel like in my collection at least, I don't have a ton of toppers from OPI. Like, I have a couple of glitters from them, but well, I mean, I do have like an obscene amount of crackles from them too. But I feel like toppers, like in what we have in this release, I don't have a ton of that from OPI. So I feel like I would have liked to see a lot more toppers if they were going to release this many shades and have them all be like drastically different from each other and not, you know, shimmer, 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 shimmer. I was kind of surprised at the number of polishes in this release that self-leveled so slowly though. I feel like creams are some of OPI's like most popular shades, and I always find it so weird when they have one that just self-levels so damn slowly. Like, it's just, it felt very odd. So yeah, that's it for me for final thoughts. Alrighty, so I'd love to know everyone's thoughts and feelings on this release. Are you planning on picking it? Have you already picked it up? Are you a fan of OPI? Y'all know the drill. I'm nosy. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions. So thank you all for watching today's video. I can only imagine how long this is, so I'm going to try to wrap this up really, really fast. Before we end today's video, I want to give a special shout out to my channel members, Shenanigans! Your names, of course, all on the screen right now. As always, please do not feel pressured to sign up for channel memberships. You know, like the video, comment, share, subscribe, all the things, and seriously, we are good. Also, if you weren't aware, I also have a Discord group, so if you want to come hang out in between videos, chit chat, do some nonsense, we have a Discord. It's linked in the description box. Thank you for watching today's video. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah. I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like bruh.